Hello, hello. We are back with episode 3 of The Touch Base, and we really can't wait to talk about this one as it tore all of our hearts out. But the upside is that we have Ben Chaplin, who plays Frank Monday, on the show with us today. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of The Touch Base, HBO's official podcast for the Nevers. We are excited and also slightly heartbroken to jump into this week's episode. We definitely have a lot to discuss, but we are your hosts. I am Jessica Vasami.
And I'm Barbara Dunkelman.
And today we're joined by our very good friend, the one and only Hannah McCarthy.
Hello. Hi. I'm so excited. I have so many thoughts. I also had a lot of feelings about the ending of this. They were all very good, but also very sad.
I know. This one is called Ignition, this episode.
Which terrified me right off the bat. Getting into it, I was like, this episode's called Ignition. I don't want anyone to catch on fire and die.
Well,
but somehow what happened in the episode was even worse than that. So,
well, the Ignition title actually brings us to the first scene, which was quite an incredible scene with Bonfire Annie and Amalia and Penance.
I'm obsessed with Bonfire Annie. Just obsessed.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
what is it about villains in shows like this that are always so cool? Like, I want to be the villain in a lot of these stories rather than the hero.
I know. She
because
just makes it look so fun, and she just has such charisma, and she's very just
confident.
Exactly. I think that's what's so great about her character. And also now that we're getting to see her be a little more, she's more gray than we thought she would be. Like, I think we kind of thought she was just a villain, very cut and dry, but not so much.
Yes, absolutely. And so, basically in that first scene, Amalia is basically asking her to kind of work with them, be on their side, if you will. She seems a little hesitant at first, right?
Well, yeah, she doesn't know what Amalia is about. She seems kind of like she has her own core values and guiding principles, which I respect.
It also seems like, I mean, she's been around Malady this whole time. So, she's probably has it ingrained in her mind that these people are evil and that, she needs to stick with her crew and not to trust these other people.
Yes.
But there's definitely some goodness inside her. I think we could all feel it.
Yes. But, Annie does get a little, I guess you could say cautious when she brings the ball of fire up, and then Penance comes out of nowhere with her previous prototype, but now clearly works.
I love
So
it.
convenient.
Yeah, Penance was in this first scene. I like to say that Penance is definitely kind of like the comedic relief to a bit,
Yes.
but this opening scene, she was fantastic in.
She's so funny in this scene too, because she basically, we also tell me if I'm wrong, like the sense of this scene is that Bonfire Annie's done her Bonfire Annie business, and as a result, is Penance high on opium?
I was gonna say it was a really funny
I loved
and kind
it.
of
Me too.
odd scene to see in like this historic London kind of setting of this girl high off her butt.
She's so cute too.
I know.
Like whenever Amalia is just like, she's like, "Don't worry, we're not gonna fight," and then you cut back to Penance, she's like, that noise that she makes, it's just so fun. I don't know, I just cackled at that part.
I loved it so much. Yeah.
But hey, that
We also-
prototype worked and it was awesome.
Yeah.
We also, I don't know if you guys caught this, but we kind of learned a little bit more about Amalia's power, or her turn rather, being called ripplings. She refers to it as.
Yes.
It's a very cool way to describe, and it makes a lot of sense because from what we've gotten from her turn, it doesn't seem like she can control them. So it kind of does feel like that. And also we don't know if her predictions are exactly as she sees them. So it is kind of like ripplings in a pond. You don't know necessarily where they're going to go, or like the origin point of them. Sometimes you can kind of trace it back, but there's a lot of that kind of going on with her, which I really like that about her turn. There's still so much I feel like we don't know about it. And we're already 3 episodes in. There's like, we're learning so much, and yet there's still so many questions.
I have a question. When they go back outside where the truck and the, I guess, opium is flowing in the wind.
Powdered in the sky.
Yeah, when she goes back, like, my question is, did she go back just to like smell it, just to feel high, or was there a reason? Because Penance keeps talking about the thunder inside. Are they just high, or is there something more to that? I was curious.
I don't know. I would like to think it's just
okay.
They're just
Yeah.
referring to getting high off
I
of
think
it.
so. I think that's the beauty of Penance is so great because she is like the heart, I feel like, of the show in some ways, and she's very relatable because that would be me. That would be who I would be. I would show up trying to be a hero, trying to do something cool with my prototypes, and I would accidentally get wind of something I shouldn't and be off of my
literally.
butt.
Literally get wind of
literally
something.
get
Literally get wind of it and then be unable to do anything I intended to do. But yes.
Well, it's interesting because we also learned that the people that they were attacking at first were working for the Beggar King. And that guy is creepy, and what he does to the branding on one of the gentlemen there, it scarred me, no pun intended, for life.
Yes.
I love that that's Nick Frost too. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
The funny guy, right?
I
From
know.
his past movies.
I'm like so endeared by him all the
No.
time, and he is really legitimately scary and intense in this.
Love the range, the acting range on him.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so the scene with Mary and Amalia, just the two of them, when I have to say, Mary comes in asking some questions, kind of like putting her foot down on some things that I was kind of like living through her for that moment. I'm like, I want to ask all this. This is what I want to know too. That was a tense moment.
And I like that she's asking her those questions. She's
Yeah.
very much being our surrogate, where we're like, we want to know. Like, Amalia definitely seems like she's keeping a lot from everyone around her, and she's asking a lot of the people around her. You know, they're putting their life on the line potentially.
Yeah.
And so Mary's kind of asking important questions.
Well, especially because everyone thinks that they're there for a different reason.
Yes.
And there doesn't seem to be any sort of clarity or like one goal in mind. It just seems to be like, well, we're all here together. We're protecting each other. But it's like, well, what else is going on here? There's definitely something deeper at play.
Yeah.
There
I think Mary's
is.
onto it.
No, yeah. And I wonder, you know, if it was like a little bit of foreshadowing for the ending, but I don't know. Just,
No.
okay.
You ask questions and bad things happen to you.
I know. Yeah, you're right. Yes. Don't ask any questions.
Just go with the flow. That's what we learn in the show. Another one-on-one that I would like to talk about with you guys is the one-on-one between Amalia and Horatio. Because I don't know if you guys got the sense that there was something going on here between the two of them.
Yeah.
Oh, there's definitely something. We like picked up on it in episode 1. We were like, there is something between these two. There's a lot of vibes. And even now, I mean, what I appreciate about Horatio is he's the voice of reason. Like, he's like, stop throwing yourself into situations that are going to get you killed or like torturing yourself. And here he's like, you know, it's a lot of what we hear of these characters talking about is like personal sacrifice. It's what they're willing to give up or what they have to give up to do what they think is right. And this is like such an interesting specific example of that, where he's like, from what you're saying, I agree, Barb. Like, he's basically like, we either did something wrong or we had the opportunity to do something wrong, and like, we're not doing that. But there's clearly a lot of tension still going on between them.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very intrigued by it.
He's a very caring person, whether they are together or they're just really good friends, which then, you know, brings into the whole situation with Horatio and Malady in the carriage.
That stressed me out.
Such a scene to watch.
That
was like,
that was a scene.
this is intense, but also just kind of speaks to his character in a really strong way, showing how much he cares. Or it's just like, there's this horrible person who's doing terrible things to people and is known for being essentially the villain of the story, and he's still saving her.
And I found that so that scene so impactful too, because you get to see Malady now more of kind of what she's talked about. We can tell she's someone who has been victimized in some capacity, and she has these expectations of what people caring for her mean, and it's very complex. And the fact that he shows her genuine respectful aid here was really, I was very it was like this very anxious scene the entire time I was watching. I was like, oh no, this could go, she could kill him. This could go like so many different ways. And the fact that I love that the end of that like very tense scene is him being like, my carriage. And they're like, no, this was never going to be your carriage.
No.
All he wanted was his carriage.
It's also, it's funny, I was watching it with my boyfriend Trevor, and during that scene, both of us, I looked over at him and we were just kind of like,
stressed.
Oh my God. Strapped in for a wild ride at that moment.
Oh, yeah. Did you, so she also says something about like, because she brings up, she calls Amalia Molly, of course. And then she was also like, you know, we know each other. We have known each other, something like that. Where like even maybe he in the past, they all knew each other.
I don't know.
I mean, I know Amalia and him, but like I still can't wait to figure out how the two of those people know each other, Malady and Amalia.
Yeah,
100%.
No.
How about that scene with the unmasked men now, or the masked men, but now unmasked?
Somehow it was worse than anything I could have expected.
So scary.
It's like they were already terrifying with the masks on, and I'm like, okay, now I understand why they had their masks on.
Yeah,
because it's even worse.
And then just like, you know, who are they working for? Like, what's going on here? I need answers.
The woman who was I guess tending to that location that had on the flyer had on it for the touch to go to and then get apprehended, of course. That story about her daughter being touched and how she, you know, took care of her in the bathtub. That whole story was like so incredibly brutal, difficult to listen to, and like seeing Lucy's reaction and finding out what happened to Lucy and her son, her infant child, was just like heartbreaking.
Absolutely.
Legitimately in tears, crying. Like, thought that was going to be the most intense emotional moment. Was still wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And then the show went, you thought
you knew you were wrong.
And it seemed like that was also the turning moment, even for Mary, to make the decision to sing. You know?
I think there's this like, there's a genuine need that there's just constantly this underlying threat against people like her and the people she now cares about at the orphanage. But I was really, Mary's just so fascinating to me. She was so wonderful because she's able to look at everything with a realistic but heartfelt perspective. Like, she is asking questions because she's coming from a place of genuine concern, especially because of her ability, which we didn't really understand very much at first. I think she understands there's a degree of responsibility in how she communicates with all the other touched. So you understand why she's like, if I'm going to do this for you and help people who have had this kind of suffering, I really need to know why I'm doing it. And I feel like this episode was a lot of that for her, just kind of getting that understanding of why they're doing what they're doing. Which is why the ending is, we keep touching around it because I can't wait to talk about it.
No, yeah. And her, you know, in past episodes, she's like, I don't know when it comes, it just comes, and all this other stuff. And so I also think it was really great for this moment for her to realize, like, oh, she's like, heard that story, like, we're getting killed off, you know, where people are murdering us. And so I think it just came, she's like, I'm ready to do this. This is my purpose.
Well, she probably felt like, it was her duty in that sense, where, you know, she was lucky enough to be blessed with this turn, and she should use it for good in this situation, because clearly they need to kind of unite in the fight. Unite in the fight. Speaking of which, that badass fight between Amalia and Odium.
Oh my God. That was one of the most incredible scenes.
So cool.
Yeah. With the water, like, the whole time I'm just like, what the?
I want to know, like, I want to talk to the fight choreographer for that. Because, like, how you even, I don't even know how they conceptualized that.
Me neither.
So interesting. The way the usage of the water and her being underneath and her tactics for fighting back.
Woo, girl.
So cool.
But that guy was so scary too.
Her choking him and him just like on the water. The whole scene, incredible.
Just visually such an arresting scene. I loved it.
Well, I think we could all agree that fight between Amalia and Odium was badass. And Fortunately, we have a very special surprise. There's actually behind the scenes of that fight and the whole coordination behind it with stunt coordinator Rowley Earlham, who happened to also work on Game of Thrones, just a little show you might have heard of. And you could find that on HBO Max.
Can't wait to watch that.
But yeah, I know we've already touched on Mary a little bit, but I do just want to, spotlight her and talk about how let's talk about it. The impact of her death. She seemed like such an important character. Obviously, so.
I know. Jess, we were talking about it. We're like, this can't be real.
I know.
I did not believe it in that moment. I really didn't. I've seen a lot of shows where people come back, and I was like, no, this can't happen.
Not our girl.
She's
going
to be the one that brings us.
Back.
Yeah, she's going to bring everybody together. And
I mean, you never know. You never know what could happen.
You don't.
You know.
But it was so viscerally shocking. I was not expecting it. It was this beautiful moment. I was just like, oh, they're all coming together. This is so beautiful. Finally, something nice. They're fighting so hard.
When I heard the gunshot, like it scared
me too. I legitimately jumped.
Yes, the sound. I was like, wait, what? And then I saw it, and I was like, and now I'm mad and pissed now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who shot her was the guy with the Gatling gun.
Yes.
Who we saw in episode 1.
Cross, I think.
Episode 1 with the theater moment.
Yes. No stranger to shooting a lot of bullets.
Yeah. We don't know if, maybe he was there on Malady's orders or if he was there because of someone else wanting him to be there. But the fact that he knew that was happening at that location.
You're right.
There's got to be like an insider maybe.
Yep.
I don't know.
And also, when Frank and Mary were having like their one-on-one moment in the bedroom, and she was kind of, confiding in him. And he's like, can you tell me the place where that'll be? I'd love to see and hear you sing. For a split moment, I was like, okay, he means this. Then the other part of me was like, is he working for...
No.
I it went through my mind.
Oh my God, that would be so...
awful, I know, but I can't rule anything out.
Podcast next week when we maybe an answer
cut to
that.
You guys weeping.
The silver lining, though, is that it did work.
It did. Yes.
She did reach a bunch of people within the city who we get to see at the end, along with Bonfire Annie.
I know.
I'm just like, my girl, she did it. She's there.
That's when I started tearing up, and when Mary was getting shot, I was more just like angry, mad, didn't believe it. But then when the ending happened and Bonfire Annie was there and you saw that everybody came, I was like, okay, all right. I get it. This is something.
But now I need to know who did it. Who put the Gatling gun, who put him up to it. Because it wasn't just him.
I know.
Somebody's behind it.
Well, speaking of Frank, we actually got to interview Frank himself, Ben Chaplin. So we're going to throw it over to that right now. All right, everyone. Hello and welcome. We're joined by the amazing Ben Chaplin, who plays Frank Mundy in The Nevers. Hello, Ben. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me.
Happy to have you. Yes.
I would love to get into Frank Mundy and the character. It's such a compelling character. We've loved watching you portray this character throughout the series so far. Of course, he's had a very rough exterior, but we get to see kind of these moments of tenderness, and we get to see kind of his depth in a lot of scenes. Can you tell us a little bit about what you enjoy the most about playing Frank?
It's always fun to play something that you're not. It's always fun because that's where it really, it's there's nothing more boring than being yourself, if you know what I mean, or rather, nothing more, familiar, right? So it's fun to be like a kick-ass tough bloke when you're not, and that's fun. Slightly nerve-wracking in that will people believe it, but it's that's probably the most fun thing, is just being a boss. Being a boss is fun because I've never been a boss. Yeah, it's fun to be grumpy. It's fun to be given a license to be grumpy,
Yeah, absolutely. Could you also tell us about the relationship between Frank and Hugo, which is so fascinating to us?
He's a amoral hedonist, very much against my moral compass. But so there's something slightly irresistible about him. There's something about him, that is sort of everything Frank isn't, and that's sort of, yeah, I think that's kind of,
That's it.
in
Yep.
spite of himself, it's charismatic to him, you know.
In this specific episode, concludes with a huge shocking moment of Mary's death. Was it as surprising for you as an actor as it was for us, as the audience member?
I'll be honest, no. I think I was told that Mary died, right off the bat, like before I'd read even the first episode. So it wasn't a shock. That doesn't mean that shooting it wasn't shocking, but it was, it's like slaying the unicorn, isn't it?
Yes. Did not expect that at all. And then when we were talking about it, the rest of this episode is like, even when you just heard the first gunshot, like that alone just scared the crap out of me. And then all of a sudden we see it happening. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No.
But that's what I love about the show is you get hopeful and then they take it away from you.
Yes.
I know. Now Anna Tomlinson is like, what? Hey?
Yeah.
It's the whole series.
Yeah, well, come on, you guys.
But maybe she comes back, right? Maybe she comes back.
Ben, don't tell me that. I have hope.
I don't know, man.
There's
There's a doctor in London at that time who works miracles, apparently.
That's what I said.
It's true.
Oh, God.
Dr. Lazarus down the street, right?
Now you're messing with my head. I am all turned
Listen,
around.
try being in it. Try being in it. If you want a head.
Okay, we'll try. Yeah,
If you
please
want a
let
head
me.
Trust me, if I could, you're in. You're both in.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah. What would what touched you would be?
Shape-shifting.
That's a good one, Barb.
There's a lot of mischief you could get into.
I can see that you would do that, Barbara.
You know me so well already.
What about you, though?
I think that Frank Mundy's superpower is rage. A bit like the Hulk. Sounded more original when I started it.
Okay.
You won't like him when he's upset.
Yeah. That's what I think. That's what's in there when I do it anyway.
Ooh,
Well,
love it.
let's before we get too far away from Mary, I do have one more question that I want to touch on. So in episode 3, we do get a little more insight into the relationship between Frank and Mary, and it's very clear that they still deeply, deeply care for each other. Do you have any theories on why that is, do you think?
Only a very simple one, I think. I mean, I think I probably talked to Eleanor about it as well, but just that they loved each other. So I don't, it just wasn't. It turns out that they just ultimately weren't compatible, but that doesn't mean the love's not there and strong. I mean, we all know that one, or at least I do. That when you break up with someone for whatever reason it is, it doesn't mean the love disappears. Sometimes it does.
Yeah.
But I think generally, if it's real love, it doesn't go away.
How do you think Mary's turn impacted their relationship? And I also want to know, like, why, does Frank so desperately want to hear her song?
I think it's just that when you love somebody, you want to do your best to understand them and empathize with them. So if there's this huge defining quality to them that you don't understand or can't hear, metaphorically or literally, then you want to know so you can love them better.
Oh, that's breaking my heart.
I know. When she was singing and they were cutting back to, as the audience member, us hearing her sing, and then cutting back to Frank, and it was just silent. It was actually like a sad moment. We just saw, it was sad just to see you Frank standing there alone, and like he couldn't hear it, and we so badly wanted you to hear it. I wanted to give you a hug in that moment.
I know, me too.
No, you're absolutely right. I felt the same way watching that. Because because obviously when we shot it, I could hear it, right? I hate to, don't look behind the curtain, but I quite like, showing you behind the curtain. But
love it.
I could hear it. I had to obviously act as if I couldn't. But it was surprisingly impactful that effect, wasn't it? So seeing somebody as if they're in a soundproof booth, and you, the audience, can hear it as if you were touched. But Frank Mundy can't. So it was very lonely, wasn't it? It was quintessentially sort of lonely.
Well, let's end on a fun question. I know we kind of touched on turns, and if Frank had a turn, what that would be. If we had a turn, what that would be. But you, Ben Chaplin, if you had a turn, that you could utilize in your everyday life, what would you choose and why?
I'd like to be able to fly because I've had that dream, and it's amazing when you dream it. You know,
Yeah.
I haven't dreamt about any other superpowers. I don't think. I think that's the one that it's supposed to stop when you get past a certain age. Flying dreams, but I think I had one quite recently. Do you dream of flying where you can fly?
I have dreamt of flying for sure. I haven't, that's not one that I frequently dream about though. More my dreams recently have just been anxiety, like my teeth falling out, which is awful.
Yeah, the flying thing is supposed to stop at really quite young in life. But I had it all the time when I was a kid, right? And people have different flying techniques in their dreams. Mine's weird. It's like to hold my breath, which gets me off the ground, and then I sort of like have to do a really quite wearying butterfly kick sort of thing to get up. Once I'm up, it's all, you know, just beautiful, Superman, whatever you want to do, you know. But then it's getting up is not pretty.
Ben, you were absolutely such a pleasure to talk to. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. Thank you very much for having me.
And we cannot wait to see more Frank throughout this whole series.
Oh, thank you again, and we hope to chat with you soon.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.
It was so great talking with Ben Chaplin. We cannot wait to see what Frank does next. And actually, speaking of the next episode, we actually have a clip that we're going to show you right now.
Whoever did have Mary Brighton killed was making a public statement.
The longer we wait to find the killer, the greater the chance we never do. I was left here with nothing but a mission I was never actually given.
A mission I was never actually given.
My heart is racing.
I know.
Also, just the music,
Mine is
just
too.
everything about it. I'm just like so.
Yeah. And then
gosh.
Amalia, when she says whoever killed her is making a public statement, and then they show Frank, then they
I
show
know.
Swan, and then Malady. And I'm like, what?
Which
They're
one is
basically
it?
like, it could be anybody.
It really
Have
could
fun.
be anyone. It absolutely could be anyone. And I love that. I mean, first of all, very, very emotionally, just playing with my heartstrings, seeing the funeral. Just Jessica and I are going to write out that maybe there's something that's going to change it. But seeing that and then seeing the, like, this is a public statement, someone is behind this. It goes back to like, I want to know who did this. And Amalia,
and then
just...
Yeah, with whatever her mission is, and she doesn't clearly know. I mean, this next episode name is called Undertaking.
Undertaking, yeah.
So
Okay, so
Which
the
has multiple
funeral-
meanings in this case.
Funeral's very literal.
It could also be like a really crazy undertaking of something.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
undertaking
of a mission.
path forward, really getting into some stuff.
oh man. Okay. You guys ready?
Oh my gosh.
Episode 4? Oh,
I mean,
God.
there's also still so many questions that we have. I mean, I don't know if we even touched on it in the main episode, but when we were talking about, things that we've seen and that we have questions about, we didn't even talk about Masson's basement.
I know.
About those growling creatures in there.
You're
Maybe there's
right.
a connection there that we don't know about. Like,
What's Lavinia doing? We've been seeing all this stuff with Lavinia, and like,
I don't trust her. I don't trust her.
We thought we could trust. There's just so much. Every episode, we haven't even. We could be talking about this for hours. Like, we could literally be here all day.
Yeah. And clearly Amalia had the plan, for Mary, and what is the plan now?
Yeah.
And the other thing, like, she found the book of what I think everybody that maybe has been tested on or taken. I don't know. We have tons of questions. Hopefully episode 4 will give us
more answers.
Oh my gosh.
It'll give us more answers and more questions, which is what we love about this show.
Yes.
Well, thank you for watching The Touch Base, HBO's official podcast for the Nevers. Please tune in at our regular time next week. Subscribe to HBO's YouTube channel. Follow the Nevers on Instagram, Facebook. Please comment with your favorite moments from the 3rd episode. We want to hear them. And of course, stream the Nevers and The Touch Base on HBO Max. We'll see you next time.